Welcome to Invest in Yourself, the Digital Entrepreneur Podcast. Join the podcast mogul Phil Better as he interviews successful entrepreneurs that make their living in the digital world. Now, let's join your host, Phil Better, and his special guest today on Invest in Yourself, the Digital Entrepreneur Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Invest in Yourself, the Digital Entrepreneur Podcast. I am, of course, your host with the most, Phil Better. And today I'm excited to introduce our guest today, known as the Brand Healer. He is obsessed with branding and building an unshakable mindset, and he has spent the last decade cultivating his love for this dynamic duo. He has learned that what it takes to build a multi-million-dollar brand and become the best version of himself while doing it. And now he's applying those same branding principles to help his clients access the next level of their evolution. In addition to his work in branding, my client has spent the last 10 years learning from business mentors, personal development coaches, and shamans to develop an unshakable mindset. He has gone to the darkest depths of his self to find the brightest light and has learned how to conquer limiting beliefs and reprogram his subconscious mind. I'm so excited to have Shaun on the show today as he shares his insight and experience with us. His mission is to create those aha moments for his clients and help them build with confidence in both their personal and professional lives by combining business development with mindset work. He aims to shine a light on the neglected areas and remove any shadows that may be holding his clients back from success. So join us as we explore the dynamic duo of branding and mindset with Shaun, the Brand Healer. Shaun, welcome to the show.
Phil, what an entrance, man. Thank you for having me. I'm stoked to be here.
I'm trying out new things. I'm always experimenting as a podcast host, trying out this new chat GPT. Yeah. So I want to announce that I didn't write that. I took your bio, put a prompt into chat, and that's what it came up with. And I think it does better than anything else I can have ever come up with, Shaun. Shaun, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being a guest.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Thanks for that entrance. That was a lot of fun to listen to. And, I'm stoked to be here and see what this conversation takes us. So let's get into it.
All right, Shaun. So I talked to the chat GTP with your bio on your website, spat out that, and it's comprehensive, but let's get into the first question. Like, why do you do what you do? Why did you become a digital entrepreneur? Why is Shaun Sunderland a digital entrepreneur?
Yeah, that's, for many reasons. My family and I moved to Mexico. So I knew that when I was going to start this business that I was going to be digital because, I want to be able to work remotely. I want to be able to pick up and move in case we decide to go back to Canada or try another place, so that was a big reason that I went digital. And at the same time, given the circumstances of what happened around the world and how many people went digital, I think it's important that if you don't have a presence on there, you're going to get left behind, right? So it's like that now we have meetings from our houses, everyone's doing podcast interviews, just like how we're doing. And if you don't have that digital presence, you're going to get left in the dust. So that was really kind of a big reason why I transitioned into digital. And I created an offer based off the last decade of working in the branding industry and creating products and having a lot of success in that area. And created an awesome offer.
And so how did you get into the branding world? Like, what was it about branding that caught your eye, or was something that were you always into the branding things, or how did Shaun get into branding?
Yeah, good question, man. That takes me back. I started in the cannabis space about 10 years ago. And creating products for my first company, we created a live resin brand. And, that was really kind of my first experience of creating a product, a brand, design, everything that's in there, including strategy of how to get to market and who we were targeting. And that was where the love started. That was creating my own product, my own brand, and recognizing what it takes to actually get it in the hands of an audience and actually have that audience follow you, back you, and want to be a part of your experience. That led to my second business, which was in the CBD space. Feel CBD was a tremendous business. Went across Canada. I was in every province, 250 plus stores. We were doing really well. And that was also what just kind of that's where I learned the bulk of strategy and how important it was and how to target your audience and how to have the messaging, how to position yourself in their mind so that when they think CBD, when they think healing, they're thinking of us, right?
Mhm.
And, my love just grew and grew and grew. And then when I shut that business down approximately year and a half ago, that's where BrandRoots really was born from, was just like, okay, what did I learn over this last decade, and how can I help other people do what we accomplished? And how can I help other people establish that love for branding, man? Because, it's so important for a product or a service. I work with service-based entrepreneurs, and it's just super important, man.
I love it. So your love of branding came from building those two businesses and then going, okay, I want to help others take it to the next level. Cause you got your success. You hit the selfish goals, right? You hit the goals that you had, and now you're shifting. And I see that a lot with entrepreneurs. And coaches specifically, or consultants, they've reached their successes and now they want to pass on because they know that's where they're going to get the next level of success, is seeing those businesses take it to the next level. Do you feel like that?
Yeah, and I mean, it moves you into the service space as well, right? Like being in service to other people and helping them. Like, it really fills my cup and really excites me to help other people accomplish their goals. So, getting behind a client's idea, getting behind their vision, and then working with them to help create their ideal situation in their industry, as well as helping them build that mindset that's going to get them to the next level, right? So during that time when I was doing the CBD in the cannabis space, I was continually working on myself. I've been working on myself for like over a decade in that space, like you read in the intro. And, I really evaluated how important mindset is in a business and how much personal development is actually intertwined with entrepreneurship. If you go into entrepreneurship and you think you're going to have the successful business and you put your mind, you want to make $1 million or whatever your goal is, but your mind isn't equal to that, you're never going to get to that level, because once you get faced with those challenges, you're going to end up hitting those roadblocks and being defeated because you just anticipate how hard it was going to be and didn't get your mind to the point where it's ready to actually ascend to that level.
So with the entrepreneurs and business owners in the service industry, the service companies that you work with, do you find a lot of the beliefs that they're holding are the ones that are causing the issues in their business?
Yeah, I mean, like, as human beings, we have the natural, not ability, but we just end up exposing a lot through conversation. Our beliefs about ourselves or about our business will come through eventually, and some kind of limiting belief or something that's holding that person back usually gets revealed really early in the conversation. Whether it be a belief that they can't do it themselves, or something that was handed down to them at an early age, but something be exposed through the conversation where it's worth a conversation exploring. I mean, like, hey, like, did you hear yourself say this in this context? Do you want to evaluate that? Why is that there? Why do you feel this about yourself? Do you know that this will hinder the growth of your business if we do not kind of, get rid of that or address that situation, right? Like, we naturally, I think, as human beings, want help from others. So when we feel this way about ourselves, we expose it to other people to see if that information or that help is there. And it comes up, all the time. It comes up all the time.
In your decade of not only personal development but also developing brands, you must have had a few, like, your own aha moments or memories that just solidify
Mhm.
why you do what you do now. Do you care to possibly share one with my audience?
Yeah, of course. I mean, like, the aha moment with the branding was when I picked up my first package that I created. That was really kind of the moment where I was like, wow, okay, I created this, I created the branding behind this, and I created a really sleek look, and we created a strategy behind it that really backed what we had created. That was a major aha moment for me. When I wanted to start sharing this with other people was when I had started having friends that were kind of creating a service or a product, and they'd ask me what I had done in the past, and there was several aha moments where it was just like, I didn't even realize how much I had learned and how much I had actually taken in to offer others until I had the opportunity to speak to my friends and family. And those were major moments where I was like, I really recognized in myself how much I appreciate branding and how I know what it takes. And the personal development stuff, I mean, countless aha moments in that space, man. So I mean, like that was just like, in order for me to transition to be an entrepreneur, which was 11 years ago or 12 years ago, whatever it is, I kind of hit, everybody has their kind of form of what rock bottom is, and for me, it was just that I wasn't happy with where I was in my life. I wasn't happy with the career path that I had chosen, and decided to take a chance on myself in a different path. And in that, I hired a personal development coach at the same time, and started kind of really having this realization that I was just really unsatisfied where I had gotten myself to and needed kind of some direction. And once I had that direction, that was my aha moment, man, where I was just like, okay, if this comes from working on myself, how much more is there? If I keep going through it and digging, and how many more hidden gems are within this kind of work.
Ooh, I like that, because I'm very early on in my entrepreneurial journey. I'm about 2 years in with mine,
Okay.
and learning everything. And I'm not only am I doing the personal development work, I'm also going to therapy to help with like the traumas in the past and that, to like build it up. And I haven't gotten a coach yet, but I'm wondering if you see yourself sometimes as a pseudo therapist, not that you're providing the therapy, but with your clients and their business, like a business therapist.
Yeah, I think that's where the term healer comes from, because not only are we aligning the business, but we're also aligning you as we do the business, right? In hopes to align both with each other, so that to create that ease and flow of what you've created, and that you're working with the business, right? So yes and no. A lot of the conversations, generally, if we expose a limiting belief that's pretty big in their life, then we'll spend a lot of time talking about it and bringing it back, and kind of investigating where that came from. Because I mean, a lot of our beliefs about ourselves, whether or not you believe it or not, is from 0 to 7. I mean, that's when your subconscious is programmed. Generally, it's handed down from an adult, a teacher, or somebody who has some kind of authority in your life. And at that age, we're just adopting these beliefs that we're not good enough, or we can't do things. Which now I ask people to evaluate. I'm like, would you take that advice from that 7-year-old that took this belief on? Would you still believe it now if you had the choice? And it's like, it's always a no. It's like, okay, well, why are we still living our lives through these beliefs, right? Like, the belief system we need to address is generally formed at that age. So can we reprogram it together? Can we take in the compliments that we hear? That can we trust that we know what we're doing and trust ourselves? I mean, life is tough enough, and especially with the people who don't support what you're doing, or your beliefs or your ideas. I mean, it's tough enough having that all around you. You don't need yourself on top of that, beating yourself up and choosing to go against you.
I wanted because this is something that's super important, like the aspect that the limiting beliefs of when it's set. When you started back, when you hit your rock bottom and decided nearly over a decade ago that you wanted to go into business for yourself, be that entrepreneur, and go into that, it was a CBD, or it was resin, correct? The first business you went into?
Live Resin was the first brand, yeah.
Live Resin. How many people were telling you not to do it?
Everybody, absolutely everybody, right? I mean, there was just it was a big change for me, and I believe in that industry so much. I mean, like everybody looks at it as recreational use, and it is recreational use, but I mean, there also are such healing properties in that medicine as well. I mean, cannabis and the cannabinoids that are held in both cannabis and the hemp are super healing to the body, and a lot of people find a lot of benefit from sleep, from many things, right? So it was an area that really interested me, and it was exciting. There was a time in Canada where it was kind of called the Wild Wild West of Canada, where they were still forming the regulation of what was going to actually take place, but they were turning a blind eye to allow these shops and everybody to set up, and these brands to set up, to most likely help the legalization process, to see kind of how people reacted to it and everything else. So it was a really exciting and fun time. But yeah, I mean, I had all the naysayers and haters saying, this is a foolish move and everything else. And you know what? I'm extremely thankful on the path that I've chosen, because it got me here to have this interview with you to talk about my successes, and I'm open to sharing my failures as well, because I believe failures are your greatest successes if you're willing to look at them objectively and learn from them. And I've had many of those, and that's what gets you to the point where you can offer this wisdom, this knowledge, whatever you want to call it, to other people based off the experience that you've had and the lessons that you've learned along the way.
So in what would you say would be a failure you had that turned out to be a great lesson?
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. My first business, didn't end positive, didn't end well. And, I learned the lesson of partnerships and finding a partner and actually doing your investigation through partnerships and making sure that, you guys have defined roles in your relationships. I mean, there's a reason that the saying that don't go into business with your friends or families has been said for decades, or if not longer, because it is that challenging. And when you have those challenges face that relationship, like, I went into business with a really good friend of mine and thought it was the relationship that would stand the test of time. And, after 3.5 years, 4 years of being in business with him, our friendship is no longer, right? So it's, I had many in the first business. I went into business with no background or knowledge in business, and so I had to learn a lot of things the hard way. But because I went in that way, I learned the lessons, and I know the lessons now.
So you were able to take those unfortunate lessons that most people, I think, do end up learning, that they need to learn, that the law that is never go into business with friends and family, because you're always something's going to break in it. And we're able to pretty much pivot into another industry, the cannabis industry, with the CBD brand, and make that into a success, where you're now able to live in a sunny tropical place while the rest of us in Canada are freezing. Just want to say, as a Canadian, a fellow Canadian, I'm not very happy with you leaving the tundra that is Canada right now.
I get that a lot.
But no, it's something I've been thinking
that's
about.
exactly it.
Go ahead, sorry.
And I just wanted to add in there too, when the first business ended, like a lot of people would look at that as a failure, right? And it's like, I had a choice at that point where it's like, you either dust yourself off and you work on that mindset and you get to the point where you can continue to move forward and take those lessons and actually apply it to something else. Or you choose to accept that the failure and what our minds think everybody else is thinking of you at that time, and choose to form that as a belief about yourself. And I chose the first option, where it was like, no, man, I'm like, like, this is my first experience in business, and there's a ton of success that happened along the way as well, right? We created a brand, had we actually really evaluated what we had created one of the first live resin products in BC, and, done it at a really high level. And, had we just stuck with that instead of trying to expand and create more products, we would have had a really good opportunity to get a foothold in the market. But instead, we kind of let our egos go the opposite direction. And through that, I mean, the lesson of one, I just really didn't care what people thought. And I really knew the value in what I had accomplished up in that point, even though, say the business closed the way it did. There was so much success in that, where it's like, okay, man, I've got so much more knowledge to go apply to my next business. And that's exactly what I did, right? And I formed a strategic partnership where we all had a role within the company, and we all knew our responsibilities, and it was very outlined from the get-go. And, I'd really implore your audience, like anybody who's going into business with a partnership, is to define what the roles are beforehand and make sure that they complement each other. And like, you can have overlap. Everybody's going to have, a say in each department, but the responsibility and the final decision generally falls on that department, right? So when you have that divided, the partnership works so much easier, and everybody understands each other's roles and what they bring to the table.
I love that. And it's very important to know those defined roles, because if not, like you said, you'll have no success. You'll have a ending of a friendship, in essence, if there's not that clear defined roles and who does what in the business. I want to know, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Where do you see BrandRoots, which is your current business that you're helping merge business and mindset into one? Where do you see yourself as the brand healer, BrandRoots, going in 5 years?
Yeah, that's a good question. Like I really want to be a one-stop shop consultancy. So right now we offer brand strategy and brand design, but I want to get the web developing going. I want to get everything from content creation, content strategy. We do a little bit of content strategy, but I want to do the full thing where we help you build your calendar, build the what kind of content you're putting out there, and the strategies to get yourself there. And then the other part of me, I want to start being in Mexico, and with the history that you introduced about working with shamans and all that stuff. I want to do some retreats where people come down to Mexico and we do a week together where we work on your business, we work on your mind, we use plant medicine, and we form just like a awesome bond with the people who partake and spend a week together. So I've got a lot of big goals and a lot of aspirations, and I'm just working towards them.
Oh, I love that. We're gonna come here with the spark question to spark this conversation. And I like this because it does go with life advice mindset, and it's eerie how these questions just go with the conversations. But what is the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
Oh man, that's a tough question. Best piece of advice.
Don't worry, you don't have to say the person's name. You can you can leave that out so that no one else feels judgmental. And of course, it always changes. But at this moment, what would you feel is the best piece of advice you've been given?
Yeah, the best piece of advice is just that you miss every opportunity that you don't take, right? So like to turn away from a challenge or an opportunity because of fear, or not thinking that you're unable to accomplish it. You're missing a door closes, right? So it's not to say that you have to walk through every door, but it's just to be open to the idea that life is presenting with opportunities continually. And if you're able to objectively look, and not objectively, but be open to that idea, then it's limitless, the directions that we can pivot, we can move, we can see, and kind of try, right? So I think that's a really big piece of advice for me, and that's something that I keep in the forefront of my mind all the time through every conversation, every podcast I get invited on, or every kind of person that I meet is like, okay, well, is there an opportunity here, or is there something worth exploring?
Great advice to end the show on. Shaun, I'm going to jump off the screen here. I'm going to let you let my audience know where they can connect with you, how they can follow you, and how in the future work with you to take their business to the next level. So the floor is yours, sir.
Yeah, amazing. You guys can find me at Your BrandRoots on Instagram. Otherwise, you can find me on my website, www.yourbrandroots.com. I offer free discovery calls. So if you want to put your email in and get a free discovery call with me, that would be amazing. I would love to help you and your business evolve to its next level, and help you form a strong strategy, brilliant design, and give you the best opportunity to succeed in the industry that you're in. Yeah.
Shaun, I want to thank you again for being an amazing guest on the show and sharing your story and some tips and tricks for our audience.
Thank you, brother. Thank you for having me.
To my audience, make sure you check out the show notes down below. You'll find all the links to Shaun, his business, and how he can help you guys take both your business and your mindset and take it to the next level. I want to thank you all for listening, and remember to always invest in yourself.